Hi everyone, welcome to another maths video by Maths with Sarah. So today we're going to be taking a look at this functions question. Now functions I think is a topic that, because it only really gets mentioned right towards the end of the syllabus for those of you who are sort of aiming for the top grades, so probably grade 8, grade 9. Otherwise, it doesn't really get mentioned. It's something that's mentioned quite late on. I think it quite often has this appearance of being quite a scary topic. But I'm here in this video showing you that this is not a scary topic. There is nothing here that if you can do basic algebra, you can do this question. So as with all these questions, I really encourage you to pause the video, have a go yourself, have a little think about how you would do it, even if you can't fully do the whole question. And yeah, check back in a couple of minutes when you've had a chance to have a think about the methods, and then I'll go through it. Okay, so let's get going. Right. This question, we've been told that f of x, so all that means is a function of x, we could in fact even just put in y instead, equals 5 minus x, and g of x, which is essentially another function of x, again, like we could have it as y, we could have this one as z or something, it really doesn't, that is just another name for another variable, is equal to 3x plus 7. And what we've been asked to do for the first part of this question is to simplify f of 2x plus g of x minus 1. So how do we go about doing this? Well, essentially, it's just a slightly more complicated version of substituting. So rather than being given, say, told that x equals 9 and then told to substitute this in here, we're substituting a bit of x, something with x's in it, into here, which we might have to do something with, and then a bit of this and one instead. And then we can untwist it all at the end and work out what's going on. So we have been told that f of 2x is equal to g of x, plus g of x minus 1, and we've been asked to simplify it as much as possible. So let's take a look at this one. So if we have, what I'm going to do is separate it out into two separate steps. So all we do is that every time we see x here, we put in 2x instead, because rather than it being a function of 1x, it is instead a function of 2x. So the f of 2x, all that equals is that rather than putting x in, we're putting 2x in. So we keep the 5 the same, we see an x, we put in 2x. So got 5 minus 2x. So the function of 2x, so this portion of it, is equal to 5 minus 2x. Fairly straightforward at this point. Now, if we take the g of x minus 1, again, we do exactly the same thing. Every time we see x, we put in x minus 1. So if we look at this portion of it, we end up with, so g of x minus 1 is equal to 3, and then it's 3 times x. So rather than putting x in here, we're going to put in x minus 1, and then we're adding 7. So first of all, we've got to simplify this bit, then we'll put it back, adding to this bit, and we'll figure it out from there. So if we multiply out this bracket, we end up with 3x minus 3 times minus 1, which is minus 3, plus 7. Again, simplify this, we've got 3x plus 4. Okay, so we've got two fairly simple looking equations. Now all we've got to do is put them together. So we've got function of 2x plus function of, g of x minus 1. So if we put those two together, we end up with 5 minus 2x, and then we've been told we need to add them together. So we then add them. If you had some negatives in here, I would suggest that you put it in brackets just to make sure that you're not, muddling anything up, changing any signs. Plus, in this case, we've got plus 3x plus 4. So if we simplify all this, we end up with 5 plus 4, which is 9, and minus 2 plus 3x, which is plus x. Okay, so we've gone from something that looks actually really quite scary. We've done quite a lot of different algebraic steps, and we've ended up with just 9 plus x, which is actually really quite simple. So hopefully that's made you feel a little bit more confident about using these functions and these f of x's and g of x's. Look more scary than they actually are. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. So we've been asked to solve g to the minus 1. So remember, this minus 1 here just means the inverse. So we've got to just take g of x, turn it all inside out, and then we can solve this equation. So the way that I would always do these is I would say y is equal to, so set this rather than having the g, I would equal to y just to make it a little bit easier on my brain. Set it equal to y. Now we need to solve it and work out, make x the subject of the formula essentially. So we need to end up with x equals something related to y. We'll then put the x back in at the end, just to make sure we don't get confused between the x's and the y. So we do, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So y subtract 7 is equal to 3x. And then we need to divide both sides by 3. So divide that side by 3. And I'm just going to cheat here and remove the 3 from that side. Okay, so we've now worked out what g of x is. All we need to do is just put the x in here. And we've been told that or inverse g to the minus 1 or inverse g of x is equal to 2x. So as I said, we're going to put the x back in here. So we're going to minus x minus 7 over 3. And that's our inverse g, or g to the minus 1. And we know that that is equal to 2x. Okay, so now we've just got to solve this, which should be hopefully quite simple. So we're going to times both sides by 3. That'll give us x minus 7 is equal to 6x. Then we can subtract an x from both sides. So then minus 7 is equal to 5x. And then if we divide both sides by 5, we end up with x equals minus 7 over 5, which is the same as, I think, 1.2, minus 1.2. Now, believe it or not, as horrible as it looks for an answer, I think if I got this answer, I'd definitely be questioning. I think if I made a mistake somewhere, but I can assure you that this is in fact the right answer. Just looks a little bit of a nasty negative fraction, but hopefully that's reassured you that functions are not as scary as they can sometimes look. I have got some other questions. If you're struggling with this inverse rule, I have got at least one other question, I think possibly a couple of questions that tackle this inverse function and how you would solve it. So substituting in y and then going back and putting the x in. So if that's something that you're struggling with, I've tagged this in the video. So tag the other videos in this one. So hopefully that should help you along with that one. I have got some other videos using f(x) and functions as well. So again, I'll make sure those are tagged, so check those out. I do think this is one of the slightly more scary topics, just because it comes right at the end and it is one of the higher level topics. But hopefully this has reassured you that there's nothing too scary about functions at all. So thank you for watching. I do encourage you to subscribe so that you get first look at any other videos that are coming out. Thank you very much for watching.